Just click it.
Just click the
Just
lantern.
click it.
What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, nothing. You have a shield.
Yeah. It takes you right to the Papa Thresh.
You're perfectly
nice
fine.
happy man over there.
It's a totally controlled system of travel. Just take it. Let's check out the starting lineups moving into this game. On the blue side, it is going to be XDG. Benny in the top lane, Zuna still in the jungle, ManCloud in mid, Xsmithy at AD carry, and Bloodwater at support.
And on the red side, of course, it is Cloud9 with balls in that top lane, Meteos in the jungle, High on mid lane, Sneaky on AD carry, and Lemon Nation on support.
You know, something that was funny about that video was when TX Special and Wild Turtle are like, when we lose, we just say carry us. And it's actually seen in TSM's play. If their bottom lane does bad, they're like, we are leaving you guys in the dirt, and we're going to farm these other lanes. Odd one, only mid and top, go.
It's interesting, actually, because I'd say as far as successful teams in North America go, both Vulcan last split, XDG this split,
right.
and Cloud9 were the least reliant on their AD carries to carry. Sneaky oftentimes.
No, wow, that's a really good point.
Sneaky oftentimes to bring crowd control reliant people, and ManCloud is generally the one relied on to carry for XDG.
And that's changed a little bit. We see Sneaky already trying to build that AD carry on Caitlyn, as she is, trying to build Caitlyn in a stronger AD carry. Can't really put utility on it. But it's the same thing, right? We're not seeing Sneaky on Ezreal anymore. He's being more aggressive on his champions.
I wonder if Ezreal's going to make a bit of a comeback. It hasn't been necessary.
We have enough poke comps,
so
but then Lucian falls into place.
Yeah, Lucian,
Caitlyn,
you got Varus, works very well. Definitely Lucian. Works very, very well with those poke comps because he can disengage so well.
And it's when's the next champion that is going to surface, right? Because the champions we have had surface haven't had super alterations or changes. We saw Tabi bring out Annie in the Worlds. We saw a lot of people picking up Lucian recently because he's a lane boy. Maybe a few changes there. But they kind of just...
game.
Then Trundle came back out of nowhere. What are they going to do this time? What are you looking at, Lemon Nation? What are you looking at?
He's looking at his book of notes.
He's
able to bring it in for picks and bans, and then he has to give it back to the refs after the game.
Yep.
They always trust him with that. Even if Sneaky does not trust him all the time, they trust him with picks and bans.
That's another thing when you have Sneaky, something Lemon Nation said, or something that we have said about Lemon Nation is that he just harvests these AD carries and makes them great as he builds them up.
Long ago, yeah.
Yeah, long ago. Is that Sneaky is versatile. Remember, he used to bring out Jace. So he can play in like an uncomfortable position during his games and be okay. And mentality is one of the biggest things that you'd hear any player talk about. If you keep your mentality up, the game always seems winnable.
You could definitely call Sneaky an underrated AD carry.
Yeah.
Because everyone talks about how Cloud9 is just so good as a team, or Lemon Nation brings around AD carries. Yet consistently, Sneaky has some of the highest KDAs, despite not being able to get all the farm. He's on the best team in North America most of the time. Top of solo queue, right? And people are always just like, oh, you know, maybe he's top 5.
Really?
It happened.
Really? Really?
See, it took Darian a couple tries to get Warwick banned. It happened on the first try for High. That's got to mean something, right?
You know what? Looking at the objective control, as the analyst Death said, in all those mushrooms, that is really just something you don't want to play against in the first place. Maybe if there were an Oracle still in the game, you didn't have to sweep these things out.
Yeah, I think there's definitely just the element of surprise from XDG so far. They say, all right, they have Teemo strategy. We have no idea what the hell to do against that. Bam. They can live with it because they're first pick.
The thing is that Teemo's not the strategy. It's what they put around it, and that's what makes it so scary. You just get mushrooms out of it. So yeah, they're like, well, what could you do?
We'll see. We'll see why they banned
everywhere. KO getting banned out as well. They do not want to give that to ManCloud, and thanks to Overpow over in Europe, we really see a lot of KO come back. We didn't never really fall to the wayside too much, but thanks Overpow.
Yeah, and it's funny how right as Zed starts falling away from the game, Kale rises to prominence. You'd think that Kale was a great counter to Zed. We saw Alex Each use it at a counter for during Gamescom in the playoffs last year for Season 3. And I think everyone was just training up Kale and learning it. And they're like, all right, I'm ready to go with Kale. Guess I'll just play it anyway, even if Zed's not there. And it works great.
It's a scary champion to have, knowing that a champion will always reach its time bomb-esque form when you're always just going to be able to two-shot by Kale and she'll take your turrets down in the same amount of time. You don't want that. You don't want to two-shot turrets. Well, you do. The other team, though. Very slow picks, or I should say ban phase. But the Kazakhs,
let's see.
The single target focus.
Kazakhs has been banned every game so far. Teemo has been banned just the once. First pick Elise for the second game in a row. And this could be the Zuna Elise. So we'll see. That's one of the higher mechanical junglers.
I was going to point that out.
It's not that Olaf isn't a high mechanical jungler. Elise is just a little bit more.
More chance to mess up, if you will.
like this.
not warmed
Yasuo
up.
very early for high. He's been playing a whole bunch of it in solo queue. He's done very well on it. And already they have one guy who can synergize with his ultimate. Shyvana ults in,
Super
that
dive.
displacement creates the ult from Yasuo.
We haven't talked about dive buddies in a long time. Yasuo really creates a dive buddy synergy once again. People that'll go in, people that will displace a champion, whether that's in the air or left or right, displace you from your original position. That's useful to Yasuo.
Yeah. There was just the coolest synergy that happened yesterday. I was casting with Freak for the European
Right,
Challenger
right.
Series. It was actually the game that knocked Ocelot out of the Challenger Series as well, but they had Yasuo, Trundle, and Xin Zhao. And the reason it worked so well together, I'm just telling the story over top of this.
Yeah. They're going slow. We got time.
Is because the Trundle Pillar's displacement created an opportunity for Yasuo to ult, and then that's a bit flawed in itself because then Yasuo is the only one in the middle of a team of a bunch of dangerous dudes. But then Xin Zhao would come in after and use his ultimate
Crescent.
and knock everyone else back, and then Yasuo could just like dance around the outside. It was just so cool.
I like it. I like the wombo combo. Sometimes it's extended wombo combo, and it takes a few steps, but however they can do it, however they can make it work, if the victory happens, you get the W, it doesn't matter. Annie being picked up with Lucian, the Taster's choice as well for XDG, so they're going to have quite a strong bottom lane. I believe we saw Xmithy on Jinx first game.
This is an extremely potent bottom lane.
Yeah.
It was Jinx in the first game. Now he's done Lucian. The two newest AD carries to join the league, and both of them very strong in the competitive environment. So let's see how they match up right there, because I love how fast Cloud9 picks. As soon as it comes back to them,
They know what they want.
pow.
And that's the lane they were looking at last time as well. They were able to lock that in with Caitlyn, keep it a little bit safe. Elimination gets what he wants on Thresh. See Bloodwater, you can see Bloodwater being the one to chat it out with the team here. What are they going to be doing? They have already seen what you have for AD carry and support, but it's about the top in the mid lane here.
Well, here's what's cute about what Cloud9's done. Normally, ManCloud loves to counterpick his lane, and Benny did a very good job of counterpicking his lane last game too. But since Yasuo can go in either spot, they can't necessarily get 100% read on the lane.
If they pick Kog'Maw, that would actually be pretty crazy, because the first time that Vulcan beat Cloud9 last year was because of the top tri-brush Kog'Maw attack that they went in with super early.
Yeah.
They were get the kills onto Sneaky when they went in. Sneaky was playing Ezreal that game, but none of that.
They wouldn't, would they?
Showing a little EU love on the Darien Hupper.
They're going to do it.
I wouldn't doubt it.
It's in.
Warwick is ridiculous at 45 minutes. You just have to walk away from him.
Yeah, and they feel like he has enough power to sustain farm against a Shyvana. Depends what Cloud9 throws against him. Lanewick making his triumphant return, going across the Atlantic from Darien into what is probably Benny.
Like I said, Jat, it's not super new, but these champions that are just cropping up, I love it. This season has shown more than any other. People are really trying to take chances and making it work. I guess it's taking chances in our eyes, but these are well-honed champions that they have.
This is going to be real cool. The synergy also in Cloud9 here, Vi plus Yasuo, I think is probably the #1 ganking combo from the jungle. As soon as Vi uses the ultimate, it is a dead ManCloud, almost no matter what he does. I wonder how XDG is going to counter that. You can see ManCloud's kind of puzzling over
I like the
it
trade-off.
right
I like, as I'm thinking about XDG, you know, Benny gets in there. Yeah, he can get popped up by Yasuo. He can get moved around. But that gives ManCloud time to get in if Benny's aggression wasn't safe, pop whoever they have as a single target back, and, you know, disengage the rest of the team. So they got their own little picks, but it all has to fall together. It's so much easier to say than do.
I know. And, man, the start of this LCS has been loaded with such games. Number 1 and 2 regular season teams from last split are coming right against each other. This is almost the bigger test to see if Zuna is really fit for the jungle, because he's going up against Meteos, #1 jungler.
You stole what I was going to say next, because that's what I'm super excited about. We'll talk about it more as the teams load into the game. Let's check out who you think will be taking this next matchup. According to LOLesports.com, 88% of you think Cloud9 is going to be taking another win here in the start of the split.
Got to keep in mind, nobody believed in XDG last split. They got voted against almost every time.
What was this, like 70-30 every time they had a game, or like 30% to them, 30% to them?
And then as soon as we ran the feature about them not getting voted for, they started getting voted for and they started losing. So this means anything could happen.
So yeah, let's talk about Zuna and Meteos. Zuna making, 6-0-15 presence for his first showing in the jungle. Meteos doing pretty well and fared well in his games, but he didn't have that big of an impact.
No.
Again, the composition wasn't calling for Meteos to have an impact. Zuna just did it.
Yep.
So here we go. Yes, it
Now we're
was.
finding that
XDG very much so in the early game. Remember, 88% of you came into this game thinking Cloud9 would take it, and it's still 88% on that website. So we're going to have to see if the fans here are correct. But the fans also sitting behind XDG after that first game. Zuna finding a little love in the jungle. So both teams, you could say, have home court advantage right now.
Both teams with home court advantage.
Yeah.
It's craziness. All right, so same start as last time. Pretty much exactly the same. We see Sneaky standing in mid lane.
Dancing.
With ManCloud.
Oh, he's balking the shot.
You got to be careful with this guy. He broke Manor last time.
He did.
He's going to fire
ironically with a Peacemaker.
Damn it, Riv. That was good.
Double Doran start. Actually, Yasuo going for the Doran's Blade in mid instead of the shield, so that'll be a first. Not gigantic, but a new. Thank you, Caitlin.
All right, so Doran's Blade start actually on Yasuo.
Yeah.
Very aggressive opening. We saw Boy's last successful Yasuo game. He started with the Doran shield. Instead, I really wonder whether Hai's going to want to lane against Gragas or whether he's going to want to put himself in a 1v1 against Warwick. He would have to go a long way in order to get to that Warwick 1v1. If I had to make a prediction here, I'd say it's going to be standard lanes all around, but we just haven't moved into those spots yet.
We have only had standard lanes all around. We're 4 games in here, and nobody's really wanted to mix things up
First
yet.
game, Cloud9 did the double turret kill.
Oh, they did go super fast. You're right. That went so quick. I forgot about it.
It was very fast.
Sneaky and ever. Ooh. So now that the wards are down, they start to invade. This boggles me. But let's see what they got out of it.
This is a smart invade right now because they know Warwick can do almost nothing to help Zuna early on in the game. And if they push him off here, it will set Zuna back a fair bit.
Wondering when this was actually going to happen. Now, did they trade down to the bottom lane? You see Warwick, he's going to actually try to see if he has time to take his wolves before he does this. Benny. No, that's not his wolves. Elise, rather. Zuna.
He's taking Elise's wolves.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, Zuna tried to stick around and harass a little bit. He's going to run to his red. I wonder, actually, if Balls is going to take the blue buff now for himself because he doesn't want to get to lane. No, he's going to run straight down to that turret to get some minion experience.
So it doesn't seem like Balls really is one of the Boy, or we saw earlier happening, that they just walk away from level 2. Actually, he was doing
yeah,
it,
well,
but now he's approaching a lane.
Balls actually took the Wraiths while the counter jungling was happening and then ran all the way back across the map. And the only reason Balls showed himself in the lane that early was because the wave was already pushed to his turret, so there was experience for him to get. As you can see, Benny is still jungling since the Caitlyn and Thresh haven't actually pushed it to the turret yet, therefore couldn't get experience.
A little gentleman's agreement on the blue takes of either side. You see that Zuna's able to take that one back into his favor. Zuna, we said, playing Olaf in his last game, 6-0 in 15. Going to be bringing out the Elise. We pointed out a little bit of mechanical, that it has heightened the mechanical prowess of Elise. Takes a little bit more.
The requirement of
there we
is
go.
a lot higher.
So
It's a weird thing to counter jungle that early, but it's because he'd just taken the blue, and they're pushing him off the turret anyway. So they're going to be taking turrets, and again, Cloud9 opts into this turret trade.
It kind of forces the other team to have to opt into it as well. You go this fast. TSM fell behind here last game. They weren't even halfway done with this turret by the time that Cloud9 took theirs, and it looks like they will be able to fare a little bit better here, or XDG, that is.
That move by Balls right there, waiting in the tri-bush for experience.
Twice in a row now.
It's going to give him an edge. It gave him an edge against TSM. It's a smart thing, and they didn't even get that turret. This is going to... Again, Cloud9 is looking like they're coming out on top of this.
Let's see if they can hold it. That was Zuna backing, or not Zuna backing, I'm sorry. That was Bloodwater backing, saying, you guys got this. And he's not even focusing down to that bottom lane. They say, I'll meet you in mid. We're starting the rotation now and putting it in step.
Well, here's what XDG is doing that TSM didn't, is they are making sure they have defense for their other lane.
Yeah.
And they're still having enough to finish off the turret and keep the game close.
Yeah, that was a little miscommunicated in the previous game. Our first game of the day, actually, Cloud9 TSM. XDG, like we said, faring a bit better here, but Hai is still trying to keep this lane pressured or pushed as much as possible. So ManCloud can't get out, can't roam in it. Not ManCloud. Oh, I was going to say it's ManCloud playing a little passive, but ManCloud now being ManCloud, it goes in for a flash body slam, but neither team really wanted any of it.
That was really strange decision-making right there. And now it's getting maybe turned around. Both flashes down from mid and jungler. High's early laning phase was very strong against Gragas.
Yeah.
He's definitely been outplaying ManCloud there. And it was almost a desperation flash body slam because he thought Zuna was going to be in range to gank, but it wasn't even close.
They caught Meteos. As soon as he peeked his head around that corner, they didn't want any more of the fight. So really good positioning by him. Always right place, right time. Looks like ManCloud's kind of forced to stay in lane now a little bit behind. And this is really where High's going to want him. Just keeps ticking down on him, and he controls that lane, rather.
And this is something that High has over ManCloud. He can stop ManCloud from farming the wave when he wants to, because the wind wall actually destroys the Gragas barrel while it's rolling on the ground. So if ManCloud tries to set something out and farm the back wave, High can stop him from doing that. He's almost double his farm now.
That's a really big factor, because Gragas is only thrown out when he's getting 2 or 3, when you're getting mass coins.
Yep.
So that is going to absolutely hurt. Great point for ManCloud. He goes for 2 rings. He knows he needs a bit of that HP because the burst from Yasuo is going to be quite strong. We saw what Voidboy was doing to the AD carries earlier. Like Smithy and Bloodwater looking to soak up some of the resources as they've found the lane pushed a little bit, but they don't want to get too close to Sneaky and Elimination in their new aggressive type style of play here.
Yeah, Sneaky done a very good job laning on Caitlyn throughout the day. This is his 2nd game on Caitlyn. He was victorious on TSM, and that's... There's an argument to be made that he was just getting rid of that, but it's a bad one.
Maybe he was just hungry. Everybody loves cupcakes.
He does have the Vamp Scepter already, so honestly, getting
self.
traps out of the way when you can is often worth it. Otherwise, it'll stifle ganks and often kill you when you're trying to run away. See, he's already life stole it all up, so he did, in fact, clear that trap just to get rid of it.
So that's the thing with the Vamp Scepter lane, though, and you have no sustain coming from a healer. Ooh, very nice flash on the Vault Breaker there. Benny's going to go ahead and waltz himself around. He will not get any blood sent out of this one. No, it's going to be a 3v1. Great transition up from High, but Zuna meets him first. Will it be enough? Zuna's like, I ain't got nothing for you after the cocoon. Benny finds himself in the long walk, going down for first blood.
And that was all because High had so much presence in that mid lane to stop ManCloud from roaming up, but he himself is in trouble if ManCloud... No, actually not, because he got the wind wall.
The wind wall will change the prediction immediately. Lemon Nation also trying to throw out a quick aggression there to get the Fog of War into their favor, and everybody coming out of the woodwork. See them pushing down. They decide to leave the bottom turret, though, knowing there was a lot of aggression towards the top side. Why would they leave Smithy in the bottom lane if they're not going to get much off this?
Well, I think it's just because they want the support to be roaming around a little bit, and he's not needed down there as 2 people as long as Sneaky and Elimination are roaming around. You don't need to have Bloodwater there to watch Xmithy farm.
Right. He's soaking up more experience. That'll put him ahead in a few levels, and he's actually got 2 levels on his support. So they'll have to be careful if they actually try to go in for a fight. Tibbers will not be there, and they will have to coordinate. Same thing on the other side, though. Sneaky's a level ahead Elimination as it should be, but it's not 2 levels, and they're definitely going to be able to coordinate these fights. Pushing up here from McSmithy and Bloodwater without too many wards behind them, and I think they heard me. They go to ward.
They're going to get some safety back in that lane, but honestly, the laning phases aside from the middle have been very even and close. I'd say Benny actually had the edge on balls before he got ganked. It's really just been about High's Yasuo shutting down ManCloud's Gragas.
Something to keep an eye on for sure. We know Gragas is being really one of the top tiers. We've seen him in the jungle recently as well. Seen him as support recently as well. So
you've seen him everywhere.
Been used all around the map.
I wanted Gragas support to work yesterday. It just didn't. It was actually Kuja who tried to play support Gragas.
Yeah.
Some people may know him from long ago in the European scene, but
all the way back to Season 1 finals.
He's been around.
Against All Authority versus Fnatic. Those are some fun games. Definitely a different style of play 3 years later.
You could say that. You could say it's slightly different. But even so, we have Yasuo against ManCloud. He's got to get out of the way of that teleport.
Oh! That's all that needs to be said.
ManCloud's going to get tired of this really quickly. High's wind wall is completely shutting down ManCloud at the moment. That would have probably been a kill if he wouldn't have been able to react and put that wind wall down. That's the big thing about playing in these low ping environments, is his reaction time is basically just true to what is coming out of his screen.
And that wind wall effectively stops a teleport. That's on full cooldown for Benny, who is going to ult in on that fight and get the suppression. So that stopped a little more besides that cask.
And XDG likes to get their advantages in the early game. If they don't pull off early game advantages, they oftentimes aren't able to close out games, and Cloud9 is the ones coming out with the edge here. They did a slightly better job with the lane swapping, and they've just done a better job rotating and taking advantage of High's great Yasuo play.
Absolutely, the cookie is crumbling in their favor right now. We've seen the gold lead coming into the start of every game here in the North American split be at least, or I should say just, around 1,000 gold. It doesn't really spread too much until really later in the game, which usually we see teams getting that first dragon, getting those first turrets.
Oh, here comes a gank.
Ooh, Zuna, very, very low in the mid lane, but he repels on most of the damage there, gets himself out. Very well played. And I believe he canceled out the Vault Breaker, Assault and Battery rather, and he did.
Yeah, they were trying to chain that one after the other, but he was able to repel right in between the combo. Actually a bit of a strange gank there. I feel like if Meteos would have ulted at the start, they would have gotten the kill. But then, since High did land his Tornado, he ulted right away, and they just messed up their chaining because he actually landed a spell he wanted to.
See where they go from this. The little aggression in mid could give them enough to start going for the turret. A sweet little wall there stops Smithy from putting some passive damage down onto it. It looks like Cloud9 has everything they need to siege protect.
Yeah, there was no wind wall to block that Grog Assault, but the turret stopped him from going too far away. I think the dragon fight's going to be a big factor in this one.
Gragas says yes. So does Annie. You're going to have to see Meteos if he can really change the minds of everybody. There are 3 dive buddies on this team. High wants to go in, but he's not going to be nearly as tanky as Meteos and Balls, so there has to be extreme coordination when they get into the fight.
Yeah. So the nice thing is he's gotten a Static Shiv, and for Yasuo, surprisingly, Static Shiv is a great offensive and defensive item because he gets the extra damage from moving around so much. But since the move speed actually comes out from Static Shiv on him, it's an off argument, but it makes his flow recharge faster for the passive shield that he can get to proc there. It does look like Cloud9 is all grouping up towards this dragon now, hoping to catch Zuna and ManCloud in a blue buff rotation. It's all about how fast they can kill it.
It seems like Cloud9 is just kind of going for this dragon. Doesn't seem like anything was really set into place. They found the window and took it, and sometimes that's the way you have to play. They start to spread that gold lead to 2,000 now. First dragon down at 12 minutes, so we'll see that around 18. We'll see if both teams are actually moving for it beforehand.
And check out Meteos. He hasn't even finished a Spirit Stone yet. He's still sitting on Hunter's Machete, and he's just going around with the Boots of Mobility, but it hasn't hurt him in health too much. Knowing that he can take all the blue buffs, he's able to spam his spells fairly frequently in the jungle and actually keep his shield up from using spells. It's making it so he doesn't need the sustain from a Spirit Stone.
Definitely seeing less Meteos than usually in the lanes this game. We saw Snoopy tried to build mobility boots on Lee Sin in their first game for EG, and he was only really the support there, but here we go, getting the lockdowns in. They're going to be able to take him down. They try to get a bit of suppression down onto Balls, but they get out alive.
And this is what all the Vi's do nowadays. They max their Vault Breaker, and as long as that lands for Meteos, it is a huge amount of damage, and it gets the kill for them. Then they just chained their ultimates together, and there was not much Benny could have done to escape that one.
Not much he could have done or can do right now about his turret going down. The rest of the team is in the top lane, so we have rotation now. Meteos is going to be heading over, but Balls is free to pressure this top turret, and Warwick really isn't that close. Getting the repel out of Zuna. That was cute.
Just about.
Cool wall.
Yeah. It's windy. Second turret goes down in this lane, though, so there's a lot of split pushing going on. High, might want to be a little careful about ManCloud here.
He doesn't have any mana. He gets popped back to his team.
It was a good flash.
That was pretty lucky.
He flashed over that barrel so that it knocked him in the other direction. Otherwise, I think ManCloud would have finished him off.
Looks like XDG is still trying to keep that pressure around the map. Zuna and Bloodwater, or Zuna, going to do it a lot. Smithy and Bloodwater have not moved from this bottom lane for quite some time, and we even saw that Sneaky and Lemon Nation were mid lane even before, and still the bottom turret is up for these guys. They've been putting their focus in a lot of other places when they had that lane in their favor.
Yeah, the farm in that bottom lane has been rather close. I would say that the lane advantage of Smithy and Bloodwater should have mainly come through, but because we did so much 2v1ing and so much swapping, it was hard to really fight in a 2v2 situation, and it just means the farm is close.
XDG definitely handled the early turret rush better than Team Solomid did in the first game. It wasn't Cloud9 instantly going and pressuring the turrets. They have found the second one in the top lane, but even in the first game when they dropped it quick, it didn't really play much of a role. It was all about the mid, and then the dragons, and then the Baron. So if XDG can kind of get by the fact that they don't have a top turret, they'll be in good condition.
Yeah, I can see XDG falling behind a bit in this game, though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of their farm in the jungle is just low. They haven't been able to make any plays of their own. They're really just reacting to what Cloud9 is doing with them.
And that's what you almost can't do. When you're playing adaptive, you're already one step behind if you're not the one initially doing the adapting to what's going on. So XDG is thinking of what to do. Who's the initiation, though? They have the Tibbers. The Flash Tibbers could absolutely be there, but when you use that, you're only going to have a dragon, a chick with big hands, and Yasuo coming at your face. So it's a lot to worry about.
See if they can get the push down on the bottom lane here, because Annie's flanking around from the side. They don't want to get caught in a Tibbers plus X-Smithy combo. That would be a bit too much.
No, but they are, chat. They are. And there's the culling on the backside. Box goes down. Benny's there to capitalize on the suppression, locking him down. Lemon Nation's going to fall on this one. And no, they don't have the wards to be safe right now in that bottom lane.
The pink ward from Bloodwater pays dividends because they did not know that it was the Annie approaching up from the top. And of course, the teleport came in on another pink ward, I believe. Yeah, check it out. Going from the other pink ward down on the mini-map, even with the lantern there, Warwick had them both dead to rights. He hops on Sneaky just for fun, and then Lemon Nation had no way of running away. He didn't even bother trying to use his flash.
It worked really well when they played Ashe and they had Hawk Shot when they didn't ward. But when they don't have wards and they don't have Ashe, it looks like the bottom lane gets torn up quite a bit there. Very well played by XDG. Baron is up in a minute and a half right now. Or yeah, Baron. Dragon is up in a minute and a half right now. And with XDG winning that little bottom lane scuffle, they get the Bloodthirster up towards Xmithy and charged up. Zanya's is onto ManCloud, so that makes the objective fight a little bit stronger for them.
Yeah, it's not your typical Gragas build, but that's because you typically don't have to fight against Yasuo.
Right, the armor. Yeah,
the armor from the Zanya's Hourglass should come in pretty handy for him.
Oh.
He's actually come back a lot in that lane since High could block so much with his wind wall.
He is just auto-attacking HP back from burnout.
Exactly.
Mixed damage doesn't matter.
Benny can completely deal with balls at this point.
Very good damage onto the turret so far. It looks like they don't want a full engage, though. It's not what they are ready for. The teleport is down. There's just too much crowd control they're looking at for this next fight. High stays alone, and maybe he can bait this fight out. It looks like Sneaky and Lemon Nation want to help him with something.
Yeah, High's still working on his items as well. He's got 1,000 gold in his inventory. He has one for the Vamp Scepter and Double Thorn, so he's really worried about keeping his health sustained up high.
Cloud9 still getting out pink wards. The pink wards laid after they actually lost their bottom lane just now, so they're kind of doing a little bit of their own reacting to something that happened when they were the ones on the driver's seat just a second ago. Still 4,000 gold in the lead, and those pink wards are going to set them up. Like we said, Dragon's at 18 minutes. That's in 10 seconds, so they have already set the chess pieces in place more than XDG here for this objective.
Yeah, Bloodwater would have to get there very quickly if he wants to take this one down. I wonder how long before Cloud9 fully commits to this one. I think this is the fight Cloud9's been waiting for, and as long as High's in position, he can actually block the barrel steals. He can just throw a wind wall up, and it's safe to do any objective against Gragas if you have a Yasuo on your team. It is a little dangerous, however, just putting themselves in the Dragon Pit and allowing XDG to initiate, but that's what they've chosen to do. Here we go.
Benny's getting close. Eyes on Warwick. He locks down High, actually. Dragon goes over to Meteos. He gets the smite down perfectly on it. High is very low, but somehow still alive in the fight. He dashes out. Benny's on his tail. Can he live with the last hit there? They have put 3 people on 1 person. The other side of the fight, it's XDG losing 3.
Yeah, that just shows you how XDG was very weak coming into that fight, because even though Benny seemed to take all of the distraction onto himself, Cloud9's wrecking crew was still able to finish off the back line of XDG. So a great call and fight by Cloud9. They did have a small lead before that fight. Now it's much bigger.
Fighting with the vision there. I guess they pulled everybody out of the vision, as you can see the start of the fight. But
and I got to see the other half of this fight that we didn't see on camera right from the start. So it was an attempted steal by Zuna, and then he wasn't really involved in the rest of this fight. You can see he runs off towards the top, and Meteos is who's fighting up there with Shyvana. This part we've already seen before, so you can see Sneaky just finish off Benny with those Ignite ticks, and that's the 3 for 1.
So very nice coming in. 202 in the top lane for balls. Meteos sitting on the same score. And this time it looks like Sneaky and Lemon Nation are going to take a little bit of a backseat. They're putting more of the assists up for the team. And to make sure that they get everything they need in. But they have found the biggest lead we've seen it 20 minutes into the game. 5,000 gold lead as XDG comes up on 26,000. And almost an engagement there. A great lantern out by Thresh.
Yeah, so soon to be an Infinity Edge on high. That's going to be a scary thing. But it hasn't necessarily been him being a big factor in this game. It's been the synergy between Balls and Meteos.
Yeah.
The gank they were able to pull off on Benny in the top lane, and then their dive in that dragon fight have really been what's securing them the big advantages. Balls, even though he can get handled by Benny in the 1v1, hasn't let Warwick take much back on the map. You look at that lane, Balls' turret is still standing.
Yeah. 2
of Benny's turrets are gone. Ah, again. There's wind walls.
Wind walls, trying to keep him safe in mid. Something we saw earlier with Benny coming down in the teleport. They got good kills on Lemonation and Sneaky, but it didn't deter them at all. Usually you think the next fight would kind of go, in XDG's favor as well, but Cloud9 knew how to regroup for the fight, putting themselves up with that dragon. It's very hard to come back after losing fights like that and go back and forth every time. Usually it's a team getting a little bit more every time, but Cloud9 does not let that happen.
Not so far this game. We're only 21 minutes in. They had a slow, methodical play against TSM. This one's been pretty standard, not nearly as slow as their game against TSM, and I think they're trying to pull off a bit of a split push here with High farming on the side, which means here comes the initiation.
Oh, Sneaky on the front line, and that means he is going down first. Ball's coming from the backside, and they just get everybody as they try to siege the turret. That's how you do it. You come onto your own turret from the backside, but it looks like XDG finds a bit of ground in this fight. Lemonation very low, stopping High, but he's able to finish out ManCloud, the barrel, taking down Lemonation before he gets hit, valiantly doing some good damage before he goes down, and still so chaotic, but only 3 for 2.
Yeah, they get the 3 kills because they saw there was no wind wall to block their initiation that time, and they just went all in right away. I don't know. He's just trying to stall.
Wow,
Burns
getting the
flash.
flash out. Not what he wanted there. So High in his aggression loses out on that summoner spell. It looks like Cloud9's able to is forced to regroup now. And that was XDG's chance to really get into a fight. They took down 3, and they did a great job.
They saw their opportunity, and they pounced on it. The Warwick still doesn't even have his wit's end, but he is becoming pretty strong man right there. 7,200 gold, actually 1,000 behind what Balls has on Shyvana, but just as impactful in some of these team fights. Warwick always used to say he doesn't need as much gold to be good as other champions. His scaling is just so strong.
Like we said, that time bomb, I'm going to be looking towards another 20 minutes in this game, and you will just see that Warwick.
Well, we'll
zero
see him.
cares.
Yeah, he won't care. It's not like he's going to start blowing people up. He'll just be very difficult to deal with.
He gets his extra set of 4 abilities.
Yeah.
Then he can blow people up. 3-2 in turrets, so not too much map control really is the name of the game here. It's all been within the lanes. The mid turrets still, or mid turret, I should say, still standing for XDG, which is going to help with their buffs a little bit. I don't see that Zuna is really trying to make too much pressure. He had a little bit more pressure on Olaf in the counter ganking, or counter jungling, I should say. But maybe Meteos on the other side doesn't let him do that.
This is a much different game for Zuna. He didn't get the early ganks happening, and now he's just trying to make up for it.
Yeah, got onto High pretty well right there. The body slam and the instant Q barrel. Able to get 3 off of that and the shutdown right now onto High.
That was all Benny, I feel like. The suppression from the Warwick ult just allowed the rest of them to fly in afterwards and finish him off. High pushing up a bit too far without safety.
See what they're getting wards around. They got pings down towards Baron. Those are only for vision just now. Really not putting out enough damage to cancel that guy out quick enough. So at 24 minutes, 7-7, even in kills, and it's really the next focus. Oh, Meteos looking to Q that Vault Breaker. Almost landed on ManCloud. These guys are testing each other quite a bit right now, seeing who can pressure each other more into making that next mistake.
Yeah, and it's going to turn into a pretty good game here. You can see XDG, since they got the kill onto High, was able to take that turret back. They're really pulling this one around. If we get a dragon fight next, which we probably won't because the timing is just off, it would have been a good time for XG to come back into this one. As it is now, Cloud9's going to get it, and it's actually going to slow down the game a little bit. This isn't a point of contention.
I really like the focus of Meteos here. Always on those champions that can get himself in the team, but also helping with the locket of the Iron Solari. If high or balls on Shyvana or Yasuo need that extra shield when they're in deep on the back line.
Ooh, Benny took a lot of damage up there in the top lane as well. So Ball's fighting back with that Blade of the Ruined King active. Now Warwick has to heal up a little bit. And this could be another opportunity here for XDG to find that fight. Bloodwater doesn't quite have his flash yet on Annie, but that was a very potent initiation for him the last time he did it.
Lemon Nation trying to use the Fog of War here to his advantage on the side. Meteos on the out, he gets caught, he's forced to Vault Breaker in. Assault and Battery as well, High going down very low, and they're taking a bit too much damage at the start of this fight, but they trade back 2 quick kills instantly. Easy enough for me to say, and they keep going on the fight. Those 2 kills were perfect. Zuna almost goes down, he actually clicks back on accident. It's enough for Sneaky to hit the shot. He nets and flashes into position. 3-1 now. That was just a 3 for 2 in favor of XDG.
Completely turned on its head right there. Yes, they got a start on the Meteos, but he's a very tanky guy right there. Didn't actually use his Lock of the Hour, and Solari maybe could have lived. Even so, Cloud9 just powering through.
Benny trying to do what he can on the front line, but he's only going to be taking a bit of damage. It looks like they get the turret without any worry. It's going to be on the Sneaky. They flay him off. Could they get enough damage? And they finalize the kill. Great reaction time there by Lemon Nation to keep his AD carry alive. The follow-up kills coming from High. The Thresh Lantern out. And Boss is going to be safe from Burnout and the Ascension.
XDG went about a quarter second too early for that one because they had the support coming in Xmithy and Bloodwater, but it ended up just costing them both of their solo laners' lives. So even though XDG had done so much to claw their way back into the game, they just lost it all right there. Cloud9 was able to turn right back around because, honestly, XDG came right to them, and Cloud9 turned it around beautifully.
Meteos looked like he got himself caught, but they just have so much confidence behind their team and what they're doing. They were able to, that fight went from coast to coast. It did start down by Cloud9's mid inhib, or second tier mid turret, and then ended up at XDG's turret with them losing more people. An unfortunate situation. As you said, the cookie's crumbling in the favor of Cloud9 in every instance here, and we're even seeing the fights go back and forth, but just too much in the favor of Cloud9 that time. It's all up to XDG now to really take back the driver's seat and use this time to figure out how Cloud9 is getting around their defense.
Yeah, well, they're getting through a lot of it because they got 2 Last Whispers completed right now. That's a huge amount of itemization for High. Picked up a bunch of gold in that last fight. He's actually sitting at 1,120 tops in the game. So not only did he have a good laning phase, he's had an even better roaming and teamfight phase. That last fight in particular was a huge boon for him. And now they can actually do this Baron with a little bit of peace of mind if they want to start doing the baits back and forth, or just Shirelia's in and try to make it happen.
They wanted Zuna pretty hard there. Great cast coming out from ManCloud. Saves the day for a quick second. Not too long of a cooldown on that. We'll see them getting back into each other's face in just a quick tick. Zanya's finished up for ManCloud, and he's had that for quite some time. The only times he's used it, he's actually gone down after, so it's really not proving useful for him just yet, but nothing else is really going to.
It's really hurt his Gragas build. You see most Gragases get the death cap very early, and he basically turns into a burst caster. Since he had to go with the Zanyas, his damage has actually been dropped fairly substantially, and he has not been able to make the impact he normally would on Gragas.
Wits End finally finished up on Benny. It's something we saw Darian building up. I'm actually happy it's back. It's kind of one of my favorite items. I like Wits End. Everybody loves
my favorite item.
Everybody loves attack speed. How can you not? 12-8 in this matchup. And that attack speed hopefully is starting to help Benny as he gets into that tankier part of the game, because it is an 8,000 gold lead that Cloud9 has right now, and it's really spread nicely across their entire composition. Nobody's focused power right now, and even Lemon Nation has 9 assists, so that's going to be helping him out a lot.
Yeah, plus he's almost maxed out on cooldown reduction there with the Talisman and the Boots of Lucidity. So that's a lot of hooks, a lot of flays, and a lot of control in teamfights. Meteos was hoping to hop over a wall, but he got spotted by that ward.
We see Benny now take it to the bottom lane.
Yep.
He's going to get a bit of a split push on here as
We're getting forced into a bit of a play right here because there's the Warwick in the top lane, so either Cloud9 goes for Baron, Dragon, or they send someone for Benny. I think since Cloud9 likes to take action, they're going to be going for this Baron first and foremost.
The ward is there on the other side, at least for XDG to see. No, it gets cleared out. And this will not be helping them. Benny in the bottom. He has teleport up. They could be ready for this one. Looks like they are going to be able to drop the turret, but is it enough time to know how much health Baron has. It is not. It is taken. The teleport now happens, and he's going to be on the backside of this fight. Maybe they decide to figure out how the pinch works. No, he stopped his teleport. They are able to get in. They throw Xmithy into the flame there. Very nice job getting him to the backside of the fight. Looks like Cloud9 is going to be able to push on.
Benny's very sad right now. He's just standing there after his teleport was canceled, probably from his own use right there. A lot of times if you try to spam click right as you're teleporting, you'll cancel your own teleport.
Yep.
Not sure what happened there or if it was an intentional, but even so, the Baron was taken before anything could have had a big impact, and now Cloud9 has a nearly unstoppable push down the mid lane.
Let's see, well, they will take the turret, and it is going to be the inhibitor next. If that Lantern hit, there would have been Nexus turrets to follow after this, but with that Gragas being up, the full 4 around him, or full 3, I should say, Xmithy up in 1 second, they can't not do much.
No, they have continued to cascade their advantage here. Yeah, they gave up 1 turret to Benny, but it was for much more great gain. Plus, they can just take a dragon on their way out. Oh, is he going to grab the lantern? Come on, man. It's right there. Get it. No!
Oh, bus driver closed the doors. See where they can go from this. The Dragon's only going to help the pile of gold that sits in the back of their fancy car right now. They are ahead a nice, cool 12,000 gold, and that's nothing to be worried about. If you're on XDG, however, it is very hard to get by any of that. You can see, talked about it before, the double static Shiv, Infinity Edge to Bloodthirster, so somebody's got the crit damage and somebody has the sustain to stay in the fight. And these guys, like I said, with that Locked of the Iron Solari, and then Meteos builds the Banshee's Veil, they're starting to become completely unkillable, and Benny is losing people that he can ult in these fights.
Yeah, Benny, in order for the Warwick to work, other people actually have to be getting things low,
right.
And him sitting in the fight needs to be an active distraction. At this point, since Cloud9 has just caught a few people out of position or just chased down the squishies, they've been able to largely ignore Benny, and it has not worked out for them. I think the pick itself has been good for XDG,
right,
but the team performance has not been.
Definitely have to be forcing more fights, but how can you do that? The other team is so far ahead, and you know it's a straight loss 5-on-5. You get the split, you use the Fog of War to your advantage, and you use the Gragas ult to get high right in the spot you need him. They're going to throw it in the box. This is a big fight here for XDG, and they need to come out on top, but even with a turret on their backside is another member of the team. It's Sneaky and Crew to wipe them out, push them off their own base here and just the outside. And it looks like they're able to continue. The Baron taking away has really given them a huge advantage, along with positioning.
Hey, as nice as the catch was on to high, there was no Xmithy there to capitalize. So even after they killed him, it was still a 4v4 against a team with Baron, which meant 2 people fell on XDG, and they lost their turret. Here comes the continued push.
And this becomes the hardest part. You have the wave you have been waiting for in the top lane, but XDG can't get anywhere near it. Cloud9 is knocking on the front door for a second time here. The second inhibitor looking to go down, doing this methodically as Cloud9 does, and I would not be surprised if they took the time to go top and take everything.
They were not able to get that last inhibitor, only because XGG had respawned and they had actually gotten harassed down quite low amongst all that. But good control, smart counter move.
Yeah.
It's actually a little strange for Cloud9 because normally when they play, at least back in the 2013 season, they were the ones who initiated almost everything, and teams were reacting to them. But in their first game, when they had the Teemo, they set up their traps, their little stupid mushrooms, they were so annoying, and TSM had to consistently come into them over and over again, and that's how they won like a very slow and drawn-out game. And in this one, when XDG made the game close, Cloud9's victories have been very reactionary. We think of the first fight, where the first fight they won way up towards the middle turret of Cloud9 when they got the catch on Meteos. That was XDG's move, and Cloud9 just reacted to it very well. Even the last push for the bottom inhibitor, XGG's move to get on high, but again Cloud9's victory. So instead of them playing extremely aggressive and making all the moves, they're actually reacting a lot more than they used to.
They're the ones that wait for you to make the mistake. It even kind of plays in, like you said, the way they did it with TSM. Knowing that TSM was warding so much, they cleared a ward and hid where they wanted to ward. That's how they caught the odd one a few times.
Yep.
So they really play to their opponent's mistakes, and that's a different way to play when you completely win every game. If your opponent doesn't make a mistake, then it becomes scary. But Cloud9 is exceptional at finding them. Sneaky with blue buff as he heads towards the bottom lane. He doesn't even need it, but they have a lot of things they don't need right now, like a 12,000 gold lead. That's pretty good. 15 to 9 and 8 to 4 in turrets. They still have 3 to drop on the map. It's good for XDG. They got their inhibitor back in mid, but they are all huddled around pretty much a small campfire that is those 2 inhibitors, keeping them alive.
They got to keep those things warm, otherwise they're going to get destroyed right here. Banshee's Veil being completed by High makes him very safe. There's a really hard initiation.
Going to the back line. He went for a hell of a ride there. Meteos is there. Everybody's to the back line. Talk about dive buddies in 3, because it's a crowd. Zuna now the focus. He is trying to get himself out. The repel is the only thing to keep him alive for a few more seconds. ManCloud feeling good about the 1v1 onto Sneaky, and that's what they needed, is the DPS to be out of the fight. But look how much power just comes from the auto attacks and the repeated abilities of the Bruiser squad. These 3, Balls, Meteos, and High, just doing work with Lemon on their back.
So that was actually kind of cool. Vi knocks everyone aside when she goes for a target, which made way for the ace in the hole, and that's one of the huge things that just destroyed xSmithy in that fight. It means both inhibitors are going to go down. Maybe the game here, because they still got 4 people alive to 2 defenders.
35 minutes in the game. This is very much more so Cloud9-esque. Their 34 to 35 minute average game time becomes a little bit more true. They look to win their 2nd game of the North American Spring Split here in 2014.
Whoa! A little bit more damage, and that could be the Nexus right there, trying to get some kills at the end.
Everybody loves a little bit of KDA. The culling on the fadeaway, not enough to grab High. Meteos looking happy. A quick high 5 to High, and all around the horn for Cloud9.
2-0 on the first day of LCS for these guys. After playing 2 of their biggest competitors, they took out not only TSM, but now XDG, the numbers 2 and 3 teams from last split. So Cloud9, I mean, as expected, they were the #1 team last split, but those are 2 solid wins for them.
A good game coming in still for XDG, but like you said, headhunted now for Cloud9. Teams have their eyes on that spot. A lot of teams started this week. Every team started this week in first place, but now really Cloud9 can be the one to say that. Nobody else has 2 wins.
2-0 on their way to 4-0. Fnatic is the only other undefeated team in the European LCS there. Cloud9 hoping to start with a super week flawlessly like they did in the 2013 summer split. And if I'm Vulcan, I'm not feeling too bad about that. Yes, they made some over-initiation plays, but they did kind of have Cloud9 on the ropes for a little while. Zuna didn't have the same game he had in game 1, but that was a close competitive game throughout.
And a thing to see that really sparks my interest with Cloud9 is when they went through that first week, when they went undefeated last split, I think it's a lot of the same champions. I think we had 5 Zacs for Meteos or 4 Zacs for Meteos. Everybody's been switching it up. It's the same Cloud9 with wins, but it's a different Cloud9 in play.
Yeah, especially from High. He's the one who's really taken it on to change a lot of the other things about him. I think Cloud9 probably hasn't changed anything too core to their beliefs. They will still have their kind of tier list of champions and continue to pick those.
With a little more now.
That's why they pick throw so quickly down, but just be a little harder to ban out. They've found their weak spots that are bannable, and it looks like they're starting to patch them up.
So XDG, you could kind of see that they knew what they wanted to do in that game, but they weren't able really to ever to get it to work. The teleports were beautiful when they did happen, with the ults coming in on the top side from Benny. And I want to say, and I don't want to bring too much attention to it, but I feel like Benny did that on Shen as well, going into the playoffs. He moved his Shen, and he didn't get the teleport off.
Well, that was a bug.
Well,
you can't cancel Shen ult intentionally.
Well, no, he was teleporting.
No, teleport is different than Shen.
Well, I know he was on Shen, but he was teleporting. That's what I'm saying.
We'll see this one, Riv. Anyway, yes, he made that one teleport mistake up at the top lane, but that wasn't necessarily. He wouldn't have done anything because he was too late. It was a team call that they were late with that one.
And it seemed like he was coming in late anyways, even if he was.
They were very late on that last call, which was an unfortunate thing for the Baron.
They didn't have vision, and that had been cleared out quite a bit. We saw when Cloud9 wanted Dragon, they had 2 pink wards down immediately. When they wanted Baron, they walked up and put 2 pink wards down immediately. So they knew they had complete vision. Even if it was surrounding them, it wasn't right on top of them.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that was a very competitive game for about the first 20 minutes. Cloud9 did control the Dragons a little bit better. And at the end of the day, I think the Yasuo pick was played very well by High, and the Gragas is not a good thing to go up against it.
No, now we know that. However.
Another thing to learn with